love type of shows. Well, naturally, that lasted so many years, and then it went into, that was actually right after Cowboys, because in the 50s it was Cowboys. Then it went into like the family oriented. Then it went into like war type of things. Then it went into police, and that's when now it's got to the point where now it's, people like watching people getting killed on TV. That's what the young people grow up watching. Instead of watching the scene, their family getting together and loving and handling day-to-day things, okay? Like Beaver getting stuck up in a fake coffee pot up on top of a reader board, when they had to bring the fire department. He was all embarrassed about it. Nowadays, it's like, oh, look at this guy. All that blood splatter, all this stuff. So little kids grow up now, and what do they see? Violence, not love.
Yeah, and trying to be more and more offensive and shocking to upset people's sense of, of dignity or respect. But it's not just the program. I think the news also, look at the modern news media. Man, there's 5, 6 major conglomerates that own all the news outlets, and the same force that corrupts our politics corrupts the news. It's greed. They're not giving people real information. They want to make them afraid or just blind to the fact that there are greedy people who are destroying the planet. They're not being real about climate change or systemic racism. You get them, America's the best, always will be, and to be very afraid of anybody else. And it just gets worse and worse until it doesn't. Until there's a revolution. And I talked about it earlier. I mean, I see it coming, just a massive, it's got to be worldwide, because humanity is in crisis right now. People are desperate for real leadership, something to put their blood, sweat, and tears into. And I say, let's take this issue of climate change and make that the issue that kind of unites humanity. That we stand together and start taking care of each other.
Well,
I'm not asking for... Go ahead.
We're not going to have to worry about the climate very much longer if we, keep going the route we're going. I mean, come on. How big a fool does it have to take to realize our weather patterns are changing drastically, even in our own country, let alone Antarctica next year, right? A big shipping company doesn't have to go around the Cape anymore. Their plans are, hey, we can go through Antarctica now because it's opened up. I mean, come on. Our world is falling apart, and it's falling apart faster than people realize. And you know what? They're brainwashed. They don't really care. The only time they're going to care, right? When maybe a 300-mile wind comes through and wipes out, the population, that's when they're going to start. Like lamb to the slaughter. When you get the lamb to the slaughter and they realize they're going to have their head cut off, that's when they start panicking. Well, that's the way people are. And we are doing it to ourselves.
Man, we're slackers. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. It takes that, but it's destined. It will happen. It might be ugly, but we owe it to all the past generations who fought and suffered and died to give us a democracy, to give us a planet to live on, and we owe it to every generation that's to come. And faced with that, it's not the majority that doesn't see it. I think there are a greedy and an ignorant minority that support the current status quo, but it's the majority that finally get involved, to fight back, and it's just, again, through gravity, it's forcing us into a massive shift in consciousness. And so let me, if I can, I'm going to make a huge shift here in the conversation. I want to tell you the crucial event that happened in my life that was the catalyst for me writing about the current novel that I'm working on, right? This current mythology. Is that cool?
Well, yeah. You're the guest. Go for it.
All right, let's go. So this is around 2016, right, leading into this huge, crucial election. And I was all about Bernie, and we can disagree about certain policies. To me, the one thing that none of us should disagree about, conservative or otherwise, is getting rid of the influence of money in politics, getting rid of, well, that's it. Politicians taking special interest money, and buying politicians and buying elections. The people should decide who their leaders are. He was the only one hitting it time and time again. To me, Clinton sucks. She's full of herself. She is the arrogant tyrant, just like Donald Trump is. And that's a trip for me. People, they hate Trump, but they love Clinton. I'm like, that's the same character. They're the same. They might, their ass is always the last one because they put their finger in the wind, what do most people want, and that's what they're going to do. Bernie's been fighting the same battles for years and years, not taking special interest money at a time when we need a leader. And I felt like someday I'm going to have to do it. No, Bernie came along, so I fought for him. And I would give my money to him. I would do my YouTube videos. I would talk to everybody on the street and say, hey, I respect where you're at politically. I think we need Bernie, and here's why. This was going back to Fight Club, that life is meant to be a struggle. And if you're not struggling for something important, then you're not fully alive. That's an important concept to life, too. And this was it. This is our Great War. This is our Great Depression. It's here, guys. Let's go. And they'd say, I'm voting for Bernie. I'd say, that's not good enough. Help me. Do phone banking. Do door-to-door, because this is not going to be easy. And I was all about it. And in that process, like, man, I felt like every day I was waking up in the arena, this surge of adrenaline and cortisol and stress, like, Doug, this is it. Go. Get out there and just keep fighting this battle. And then I saw Bernie. It's obvious to me, get screwed, especially the last day of the primaries in California. And I said, we're not going to be okay 4 years of Trump or Clinton. And so I started a petition saying we need to demand new elections. I don't care. Yes, it's revolutionary. This has to happen. Because if we don't do it, lots of people will suffer and die. 4 more years of corruption and nonsense. And then it got to a boiling point where I swear I had all the symptoms of schizophrenia. And what it was is, for me, it's that you feel like you're living a movie, a story, like a dream. And a friend would make a comment to me off the cuff, and I'd recognize that's a line from a movie that I loved 20 years ago. Or they'd recite like a line from a song, again, that I loved. And it was intense, and I felt like, wow. And they say that before you die that you get premonitions, that you get all the signs of it. So I've mentioned a lot of movies: Fight Club, Matrix, Vanilla Sky, Pan's Labyrinth. That I had all these events happen in my life that were exact like replays of those movies. And am I going crazy? And then I realized that those storytellers, they wrote that story for you and for everyone. They've been through similar experiences, so they write it down to help you. And that's how God works. He can't give you all the answers black and white because that's boring. And recognizing that, then I started to kind of chill and go with the flow and get in the moment. But I felt like this dimension of my life is over, and yet I need to do something to stop Donald Trump. So I was living in Northern California. I took the last couple $100 I had, drove. I thought, what can I do to try to incite the revolution? And I thought, well, I can get a letter to this progressive YouTube channel called the Young Turks. You guys got the viewership. I know you're progressive. I know you're pro-Bernie. Take this letter, take my message, take my petition, and spread it. I took all my money, rented a car, drove down to Southern California, tried to find their office, dropped my letter off at what their headquarters were, this box office, and I had this feeling of like, Doug, you've done it, man. You've given everything you had to make a difference. Now I want to go talk to my parents before I'm dead. I want to maybe have a baby before I'm dead. And it was profound. I just thought like my next 5 minutes I could be killed at any moment. And I made this drive up the 5 freeway. Now, here's where it gets interesting. On that drive, it felt like destiny was on me. This is it. I might die on this car drive. And I look at all the songs I had saved in my iPhone, iTunes, and it's like a recurring thing. Circles, Eternal Circle, Leaving Planet, Holy Lamb by Yes. And as I'm looking at the songs, it was kind of, I felt like the universe was toying with me. And at the same time on that drive, I was I kept thinking about this song by Bob Dylan. It was just kept replaying in my head. It's called Talking World War III Blues. And it kind of starts off with this concept. He says, some time ago, a crazy dream came to me. I dreamt I was walking in World War III. The whole thing started about 3 o'clock. Fast was all over about 1:15. And man, it just kept playing in my head. And then on that drive at, between 3 and 3:15, it was intense. It was playing in my head. And then boom, 3:15 exactly. What do I see out of my left-hand side of my car window? I see the sun, an explosion from the sun, like a CME. It was real for me, and was, what the hell is going on? I knew it was a signal. The universe just tipped its hand to me. And I looked at the song playing on my iPhone, and it was a song called Neverland by Andy Blumen. And I remember, oh, damn it, dude, like 5 years ago, you put a comment on Facebook that when I die, I hope to give off like a sound that's this beautiful, because it was so beautiful that it just encompassed all the energy of the universe. And I thought, what just happened? I think I just died. I think I just died in that dimension. And my breath got slow, and I chilled out, and I pulled over to a gas station to see if anybody else is experiencing what I'm seeing. This like the sun was getting brighter and hotter, and talking to people, no one else saw it. So that's it. Here's a paradox of life. It's uncomfortable, but it's important to be aware of, that life and our experience of reality is a shared experience with other people, other conscious people and creatures, and paradoxically also 100% within our own mind, our own brain. And what's real, what's not real, it's impossible, I guess, to tell. And if it wasn't, it wouldn't be any fun. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. You know, going where you believed in something very strong, you made a long drive, you emotionally were charged in it. And, you know, you have to look at, you know, again, you know, you get politicians or wannabe politicians running for president, right? And they make promises. That's what I don't understand, the population. You get somebody that makes all these promises that they're going to do all this, this, and this, right?
Yep.
And they buy it. And that's what scares me without doing any research. I mean, you know, our president was going to have this budget before he even came into the White House, all done, right? Well, he didn't even have it done after he was sworn in, you know, and his idea was, well, let's cut we don't need the EPA. We need the EPA more now than ever. Why would you cut the EPA to, you know, create jobs? Yeah, you might create a few jobs, but by doing this, you're speeding up global warming. You're destroying the earth much faster. I would, you know, and I would be investing in the EPA and coming down on more stricter rules. You know, even not just our country, Japan, you know, is really considering all this stuff, all this waste from their reactors that melted down, right? They have all this radiation stuff, you know, millions and millions and millions of gallons of it. They don't know what to do with it. So you know what they're planning to do? Dump it in the Pacific Ocean. Okay.
Again.
You know what? It's already contaminated now with radiation. They are actually finding it in fish, you know, and that's scary. Again, what are we doing for our future, for our kids and our grandkids and, you know, the kids after that? We're not thinking about our future. I mean, this is the only place we can put our feet right now, and we're destroying it so fast. Yeah. You know, if I was the president of the United States, number one thing I would do right now is I would cut the work week down to 4 days a week, and then have 1 day a week where you can't even drive a car. That's it, unless it's emergency, to help cut pollution down. You know, and then they have enough nerve to say all these cow farts, are creating the methane gas, right? And that's what's causing the global